see. I would like to request that any of you in here, if you're leaders or have been leaders, if you'll please all stand up. Okay, now, I have a question for you. And if you have never experienced, as a leader, frustration, please sit down. If you've never experienced exhaustion, please sit down. If you've never experienced uncertainty, even if you've sat down, please stand up again. Look around. You're not alone. This is a common problem among leaders. Please have a seat. Thank you. And stress is the big problem of all that, isn't it? This is the big problem, because we all heard that stress kills. True? True. Let me tell you a story. When I was first in business, a couple of years ago, I was looking at the Wall Street Journal and read a small article about a CEO I had met a number of years earlier. And he was a very nice man. He was one of the top CEOs in the top organizations in the world. I mean, this man had really paid his dues, made a big difference. He was Mr. Success. Unfortunately, the article was about his death. He'd been out on his new boat in front of his dream lake home and had a heart attack 3 weeks after retirement. What a tragedy. So some would say it was something that happened by chance or out of the blue, but not so. It had been a long time coming. Stress is insidious, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, however it is, even if it is mental, the body reflects the mind. Every thought you have goes into your body at about 450 miles an hour. So that's why when we often have a feeling, it comes from our thought, and we don't realize it because suddenly we're involved in the feeling and the discomfort of that, and we forget what we just thought. So our thoughts are the most powerful tool to heal us and to kill us. I'm Jane Covington Beaudry. I do coaching, education, and I work with whole brain learning to help people rewire their mind for greater success, health, prosperity, and well-being, plus happiness. I'm also focusing primarily on executives, C-suite, or entrepreneurs, or celebrities. And sometimes I take family members of these people. I also am the founder of Master Executive Excellence and the developer of my proprietary Beaudry method. And in the Beaudry method, I focus primarily on getting rid of, not manage, anxiety, depression, anger, patterns, any kind of pattern that keeps us from our greater good. Because believe me, it may not be a problem for you, but it's a problem for everyone else. And if it's a problem for other people, then it's ultimately affecting you too. And it's probably because it's fear-based. Now, you might not think of it that way if you have those feelings, but 69% of the world's population has some form or level of anxiety according to the World Health Organization. 69%. In the United States, $44 billion is lost every year because of some level of anxiety of people who work in the United States. In looking at what's important, what'd your life be like if you no longer had anxiety? By the way, the definition of anxiety is worry. Most people think it's having a panic attack, but that's not true. A panic attack is on the same continuum as anxiety, but so is worry or negative thinking at one end, and all the way to anxiety or anticipatory anxiety, you know, like imagining the worst. There was a study done at Harvard a number of years ago, and they studied about what people worried about and how much of it actually happened. And it turns out that only 8% of what people worry about actually ever even happened. So 92% of what they worried about never even happened. So look at all that energy that was used up worrying about something, when in fact, what's the point? My mother used to say it was 50%, but you know, that was her take on it. What I do is I teach my clients how to use their mind effectively so that they can stop worrying and be resourceful, creative, and solution-oriented. And that makes a big difference in the outcome of anyone's life and also in an organization. Now, in the mid-1950s, the boss was the boss. They weren't talking about leaders back then, were they? Nope. So they were the boss, but in today's world, nobody wants to be bossed. True? They want to be led. They want to be nurtured. They want to be included. They want to be part of a greater team. They want their jobs, their work to have meaning. And that means leaders need to get out of their own way and start listening and paying attention to the people around them that work with them. Now, most leaders don't really know how to do that because they've never really been trained to do that. But guess who has a hard time doing that are the people who are so in their head with their insecurities, which is basically what anxiety is, that they can't allow somebody else to have a point of view. It's so easy to shut people out when you're trying your best to control everything. And isn't that what happens in the workforce today? I know those executives out there that just stood up, or those leaders that just stood up. You may think you're the exception, but you may know someone who could use some help. Now, when someone does allow me to help them, the truth is that I work with them confidentially. Often their spouses and nobody at work knows about it, because one thing about leaders is, unfortunately, they still have to seem perfect because people will use it against them if they get a chance. I'm not saying that's right, it isn't, but that is the reality of it. In working with people and teaching them how to use their mind and helping them, coaching them, educating them, moving forward, having them see life in a different perspective and begin to practice that, it really sets them free. It sets them free to become the person that they've really wanted to be, because I'm pretty sure that these people, at least the ones that I've talked to at my office, want to be leaders. They want to make a difference. They want to leave a legacy. They want to be proud of what they've left behind. Now, I know that guy that died that was listed in the Wall Street Journal. He left a legacy. He was a unique individual that was inclusive, that was a true leader, way back when it wasn't cool to be a leader in that sense. But today, we need leaders more than ever. And it all begins with you. I'm also the author of The Business of Personal Relationships, because it's all about relationships, starting with yourself. So I ask you, remember when you came into this world? Well, you probably don't remember this part, but your parents looked at you, or whoever was around looked at you and said, what a beautiful, perfect child. Most likely, right? Well, I want to know the date and the time you became imperfect. Anybody in here feel imperfect? Raise your hand, please. I know a few of you are lying, but that's okay. Or at least not in touch with your true feelings. So the truth is that there's nothing wrong with you, but you don't know it, because we were raised in an environment that pretty quickly suppressed who we are. I believe that we come into this world with special gifts and talents. And as a child, we want to express that, but it's quickly suppressed to fit in to the culture, starting with the family has its own culture, to the greater culture, and on and on and on, right? It doesn't mean it's right, but it's the way it goes. But guess what? That full potential highest self that I'm talking about still lives in each one of you and wants to come out and express itself. So after I usually, at the end of working with somebody and sort of doing housekeeping in their mind, then we do a process where we introduce them to their full potential highest self, which has always been within you. Parts of that self is already developed, parts are underdeveloped, and some parts are going, wow, I didn't even know that was possible. But it's there. And once I work with you and have you embody that new and at-home reality, people for the first time in their life feel at home in their skin. Anybody in this room maybe not feel at home in their skin? Would you please raise your hand? Yep, it happens. It's a whole nother experience. It's like finally meeting your true self. So I invite you to think about that you are more than what you think is possible for you right now. You are already unlimited potential, but I'm talking about your full potential highest self. And every leader deserves this. And once they experience it, they begin to allow themselves to see it in the world around them. Now imagine that you're experiencing it, and now you're seeing it in the world around you and everyone you meet. Are you not going to interact with that person differently, more respectfully, more curiously? Because we all have special gifts and talents, whether we are aware of them or not. We all bring something to the table and should be heard. Now, it doesn't mean that our leader is going to do everything we say, but it means that you become a resource to the leader so that you can work together as a team. And doesn't that make you want to go to work? Yep. Somebody said that 85% of the people hate their jobs. Well, one reason is because they're not included. Make sense?
Yes.
And if they're included, if you're included, if your workers are included, even if you don't do exactly what they say, they feel respected, they feel heard, and they feel appreciated. So I invite you as leaders to do what you can to begin to make a difference just by listening. Now, if you want to do deeper work, that's a different story, but that is available to you. But you can start making a difference on your own by simply looking within and choosing to see that gifts, wisdom, knowledge is all around you. And one more thing as a leader. Successful people ask for help when they need it. True?
Yes.
Like if you have a project at work and you can't figure it out, well, you go to whoever can help you. So why not help yourself? When was the last time you asked for help for yourself? Usually work comes first. The other thing is that the people that work with you, they deserve to get the help they need too. So expecting them to know everything is ridiculous. You've got somebody that works for your company, they're wanting to learn and grow and evolve and develop. Use those resources, and along with that will come loyalty and happiness and self-fulfillment and a better bottom line. Thank you.